Hey everybody and welcome back. Today we're beginning our dive into Season 4 with Herrenvolk Episode 1 of Season 4. Herrenvolk debuted October 6th, 1996 and picks up where we left off with the Season 3 finale as the agents and Jeremiah Smith are confronted by the bounty hunter. Good old Canada, where 90% of the country is just open fields for the most part. A line repairman who clearly doesn't follow OSHA's safety guidelines, I mean he doesn't even have gloves, is stung by a pesky old bee. Now being stung by a bee isn't really all that bad, but quintuplets in the middle of nowhere? Now you've got something to worry about.
The bee just stung me, eh?
Yeah, it's about time those hoser bees skedaddle off, eh? The guy starts to go into anaphylactic shock, and so much for his safety harness. I love how the kids just sort of nudge him like, yeah, he's dead.
He's dead! He's definitely dead!
We then go sometime in the past or future. I'm not really sure the timeline of events here. Mulder and Jeremiah Smith run from the bounty hunter and Mr. Stabby, while Scully attempts to stop him.
Stop right there, sir!
I'm not sure what she thought she was going to do. I mean, the guy has to weigh at least double, if not more, her body weight. There's a nice little chase sequence with both Mulder and the bounty hunter trying to find Jeremiah. Jeremiah comes to a ledge and hesitates to jump down, which is funny because we know these aliens, or whatever they are, have had no issue jumping from large heights in the past. See how easy he made it look? Blast! A door! The bounty hunter's only weakness! Mulder tells Scully to grab the car, and the bounty hunter suddenly thinks he's Spider-Man. I'm not sure what he did, but he's suddenly back inside the factory. The bounty hunter chases them back outside, but Mulder, who has leveled his sneak quite a bit since last time, manages to get one up on him. He did it! The bounty hunter is dead! Thank God. Now we'll never have to worry about him ever again. Although, should the green blood not affect Mulder like it has in the past? I guess I spoke too soon. Poor Scully gets ditched because who cares about her? Like they say, bros before hoes. Scully does the not so wise thing of checking on the bounty hunter. But so much for Mr. Stabby being the alien killing weapon everyone claimed it to be. Also, here we go again with Scully being abducted. Can she go one season without disappearing? And I guess that toxic alien blood isn't so toxic anymore. Written by Chris Carter, oh no. Jeremiah tells Mulder it's basically suicide if they see his mother now, because the syndicate will be waiting. Instead, how's about a road trip to Canada, where the plan for colonization is in full swing?
Show you the work in progress, where you can see your sister.
How many times is Mulder going to fall for the old "I'll show you your sister" scam? Meanwhile, at the hospital, cigarette smoking man and the teeth talker are waiting. Dear God, open your mouth when you talk.
Were you aware you were being photographed?
By whom?
I believe that can be determined by a simple planning of information.
I can't believe it's been 4 seasons and they're just starting to figure out that someone from within has been leaking information. They plan on finding this traitor by leaking fake info so they can see where down the chain it flows. The following morning, Mulder calls Scully, who's acting very weird.
I had to steal a car from an airport in Alberta. There's going to be a record of me going through Canadian customs and I need you to cover my tracks.
I don't know why, but the way the bounty hunter is hunched over the seat is just hilarious to me. For some reason, the bounty hunter leaves Scully so he can track down Mulder and Jeremiah, but why not take Scully too? Using her as a bargaining chip worked out so well in the past.
That's it for the gas.
Yeah, we don't have gas stations here in Canada. All of our cars are feed operated like the Flintstones. Yabba dabba doo, eh? Scully has a meeting with Skinner because she's been a bad girl again.
That the Social Security Administration has 5 men with this name working in branch offices around the country, with identical photo IDs.
I'm glad the Social Security Administration finally realized they have multiple identical-looking men working for them, but strangely, none of those men have shown up for work. Even weirder, all the men had strange data on their computers that had absolutely nothing to do with their jobs.
How much of it is there?
Enough to fill 7 10-gigabyte hard drives.
Whoa, 7 10-gig hard drives? That's almost 1/3 the size of one of the more recent Call of Duty video games. Unfortunately, Pendrell is useless and can't crack whatever the code means, so Scully's gonna take it to a real man that can get things done. Jeremiah Smith and Mulder happen to find the body of the lineman from the beginning of the episode, but how long has he been out there?
There's a work order here. It's for yesterday.
Alright, so his body has been sitting out there dead for an entire day. How has no one come to check and see if he's okay? His employer gave him his work order and never thought once to see if something happened to him after he never came back or called in that the work was completed? This is why you don't stay loyal to your employer. Mulder's brought to a field with growing crops and someone who looks a little familiar.
What is this?
This poor man is about to have his heart broken for the 100th time. This little girl might look like his little sister, but she's nothing more than a worker drone, a clone created to carry out the work. Meanwhile, Scully enters Mulder's apartment because she's in the mood for a little X. I said X. Grow up.
I have information for him. A matter that would concern him greatly.
Concern him how?
Concerning his mother.
X has information concerning Mulder's mother's safety, but wants to speak to Mulder directly, while Scully wants some answers of her own. The files she downloaded are part of the smallpox eradication program, and I'm sure they aren't being used for some nefarious purpose. Mulder decides he's taking one of those clones with him, while Jeremiah talks vaguely about some grand scheme that he can expose. Thankfully, the bounty hunter arrives because I'm getting tired of people tiptoeing about what's really going on. They run to an apiary because they guess they really don't have many options.
Are bees what killed that man we found?
Yes.
It's probably not a good idea to hide in there.
Oh, don't be a baby, Mulder. If this was Nicolas Cage, he'd have no issue going in there.
Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah!
Mulder covers himself in gasoline, which I guess is supposed to keep the bees away. Their plan doesn't exactly work because the bounty hunter knows where they went. Oh no, a honeycomb! The bounty hunter's other weakness! You know, Jeremiah Smith and the drone Samantha are immune to the bees, but why isn't the bounty hunter? Scully comes back to see Pendrell, and I love how he fixes his tie when she enters the room. It looks like our girl Scully may have cracked the code. Now, I'm not a highly educated scientist, and by the look on Skinner's face, either is he. However, what she found appears to be some kind of an inventory system. Skinner tries to give her an earful, but I don't think so, mister. She was assigned to the X-Files specifically to put Mulder's work to the test, and just because she's not giving you the results you want, you think she's acting just like him? Just then, Mulder calls Scully and tells her to meet him at the hospital where his mother is being treated, and to bring protection because he's bringing Jeremiah and a special guest. Don't you think if his mother came out of her coma and suddenly saw her young daughter standing there, she'd just have another stroke? How damn fast is this guy? I guess even little girls aren't safe from the wrath of the bounty hunter. Mulder arrives at the hospital looking like he's seen better days, and it's not looking very good for his mother. That night, X arrives at Mulder's place, but there's someone acting pretty suspicious inside. Deciding that maybe right now isn't the best time to pay a visit, he gets the hell out of there. Holy shit, Rooster, not X! But even in his final moments, he has to be vague with his riddles. Oh no, not her. The letters X scrawled out has led to the special representative of the Secretary General of the United Nations. Here he meets their assistant, Marita Covarrubias, who tells him the crops he saw were left to die and the farm was abandoned.
The crops you've described were left to die, but they have been identified as ginseng. No evidence of beehives or bee husbandry was found.
Are people marrying bees? Like all of these people that come into Mulder's life, she's sketchy as hell, but she does give him some photos, so there's that. Meanwhile, the bounty hunter has made his way to the hospital, and by the look on his face, he really doesn't want to be there. Cigarette smoking man brought the bounty hunter here because apparently he also has those Space Jesus healing powers. CSM believes if Mulder's mother dies, then Mulder will become even more determined in uncovering the truth. A shame he didn't have that same thought when he had Krychek murder his father. Herrenvolk is a decent episode, but honestly it leaves me more confused than anything. I think it's the vagueness of the whole project that makes it hard to understand, and I know things will open up more as we go along with the storyline, but like Mulder, I need the truth. Why was Jeremiah treated like he was so important to the project, only to be quickly killed off? Why was his healing ability so sought after, when apparently the bounty hunter could do the same thing this entire time? Can we just go back to giant worm men attacking people in the sewer? I also don't like how quickly X was killed off. He should have stuck around for a few more seasons at least. Apparently around this time, the writers felt they had done all they could with the character. It was either time to make him a bigger part of the story or kill him off for helping out Mulder. So they decided to go with the latter. Why make such a cool character a larger part of the story when you can simply replace him with someone that isn't nearly as interesting? One of the main reasons why he was killed off as well was simply so they could replace Mulder's informant with a woman. Now, as many of you know, and as I have pointed out in the past, X was originally supposed to be a woman. Unfortunately for that actress, the chemistry just wasn't there, so Stephen Williams was given the role instead. X's death took several days to complete because they had to make sure everything was just right. You can't kill off such a prominent character and have it look lazy or off. However, I would have preferred if he had at least went down fighting. Have him fight a few guys and maybe he just ends up getting overwhelmed. All of this just leads to a new informant for Mulder, Marita Covarrubias, played by Laurie Holden, best known as Andrea from The Walking Dead. The episode was written by Chris Carter, and it was his decision to bring back Samantha in some capacity. He felt like she was the lifeblood of the show, and it had been a while since the audience had seen her. Also during this time, Chris was in the pre-planning stages for the film that would come out after season 5, and you can see some of the elements that would appear in the movie finding their way in this episode. Most prominent being the introduction of the bees. Speaking of the bees, they used thousands of bees for the shoot. The crew had been informed that the bees would not harm them so long as there was no queen present. Whoever told them this was incorrect, as Vanessa Morley, the young girl that plays the clone Samantha, was stung during filming. Now she's a tough little cookie and didn't react or tell anyone what had taken place until they finished filming the scene. The crew even held a little ceremony for her, with Jillian handing her a trophy for being so tough. This is the first episode in the series not to be shot by cinematographer John S. Bartley. John was a big reason for the look of the show in the first 3 seasons, but decided to move on and do something else. In his place, they hired Ron Stannett, but fired him halfway through the filming of the episode because he just wasn't giving them what they needed. To make things even more difficult for the production, Chris Carter wasn't really around because he had his hands full with trying to get his new show Millennium off the ground. Herrenvolk, which is also a word that apparently means master race in German, currently sits at an 8.4 on IMDb. I'm not sure I would go that high. I'm thinking more like a 7. I don't hate it, but getting rid of X was a bad idea in my opinion. Next up, we have one of the most controversial episodes the series has ever had, when Mulder and Scully are brought to a secluded farm of inbreds after the remains of a deformed infant are found in the episode Home. So what does everyone think of Herrenvolk? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, that's all for today's Spookerinos. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video and stay spooky.
You've been waiting all summer for the season premiere of The X-Files.
I need some protection, Scully.
This Friday.
Mulder is coming after you.
Who?
The man you left for dead.
The wait is over.
Let them go! Kill me!
The X-Files season premiere, Friday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.